All right, welcome back to the channel. Devin Haney beats Yuriorkis Gambo to defend his WBC title and was disrespected by Dazn the entire fight. Consistently called unmarketable or not as marketable as other champions, and doubt consistently thrown on his future. He should consider leaving Dazn. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Devin Haney, an exciting young fighter, highly skilled, put on just a world-class, complete shutout performance over a former world champion, Yuriorkis Gambo, on a fight that took place on Dazn. I watched the fight, thoroughly enjoyed the fight. I listened to Chris Mannix the whole time, and I could not help but think, Devin, they are never going to treat you fairly, especially with a guy like that on the mic. You might want to do like Canelo and start looking for the door, because it doesn't seem like Chris Mannix has any faith in you whatsoever. And if he doesn't have that faith in you, not quite sure why we would think that Dazn does either. But let's go through the fight, and then let's go through that aspect of it. First things first, the fight. Devin Haney looked very sharp. The jab was extremely crisp. The straight right hands were crisp. I loved how he went up top. He changed levels. I love his defense. The guy is just an excellent fighter. He was on a completely different level from Yuriorkis Gambo, who, by the way, I think looked a little bit shot in that fight, but he knew what to expect from Devin Haney. He prepared for Devin Haney, and he tried to survive, and he did survive that fight. And that's all he did, was survive that fight. Devin Haney was never really tested. He got, every time I thought Yuriorkis Gambo was leaning, could have landed a decent shot on him, you find out that he caught it on, he caught it on his glove, or he rolled on it in his shoulder. Very defensive, responsible, very well-schooled young fighter. I love the fight for him. I thought he did exceptionally well. Obviously, the things that people are going to say is, hey, what about the power? Yuriorkis Gambo has been knocked down 11 times in the last 11 fights, and Devin Haney was not able to knock him down. Okay, that is very true. Very true. However, it also is very irrelevant. Who cares? He beat him every round. He never had any problem. Yuriorkis Gambo wasn't up in there willy-nilly coming at him, because the things Devin Haney was hitting him with was most definitely hurting him. So he won the fight. Same way Teofimo Lopez won the fight before the Richard Comey fight with that big 6-foot Japanese dude. Look, man, Teofimo Lopez didn't knock that dude out. He did not. He went the distance with that Japanese guy that we ain't never heard of. Okay, so the fact that Devin Haney goes the difference with Yuriorkis Gambo and Teofimo Lopez went the distance with somebody else, that just tells you. Matter of fact, Teofimo Lopez just went the distance with Vasily Lomachenko and got beat up for several rounds, right? Beat up for several rounds. He's still an excellent fighter, and so it's just what it is. I don't see any real separation yet between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, based on what I saw in the ring. I could tell you, based on what I see from Devin Haney and Yuriorkis Gambo, that I think Devin Haney would do the same thing to Vasily Lomachenko. But I don't think he would have pockets of time where he's just getting hit in the face, right? I don't think so. And I do believe he has enough power to keep Vasily Lomachenko honest, and that's why you didn't see the Vasily Lomachenko fight. Oh, yeah, because Devin Haney is that good a fighter. I will say this, though, about Devin Haney. And I don't think this is a skill or a talent thing. I just think that it is maybe a personality thing. At risk of saying this, I'm going to say this, but understand that this is not something that I have complete understanding of. And that is the concept of setting traps in boxing. Now, I always hear about somebody setting traps, trying to have somebody walk into things, right? That's cool, right? But I think that you also need to have that part of your game where you're just going to walk somebody down and get them out of there, right? So take, for example, Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis can set traps, right? Was setting traps for Leo Santa Cruz. But once he saw that he had Leo Santa Cruz hurt and Leo Santa Cruz couldn't take his shots, he stopped setting traps, right? Like that type of overt traps. He came behind the high guard and he just walked him down and started landing some really, really nasty shots. Now I saw Devin start doing that a little bit more towards the end of the fight, but I just think that, when somebody knows you're setting traps are not as effective. Right? Just anywhere in life. If you suspect somebody of doing something, dude, you're going to be looking at everything that they're doing as a trap. And if you're somebody that has a reputation for setting traps, then people are going to go into there looking for your traps. Now that may help you because it may freeze them, make them think too much, and you're the one that's doing it. But when you need to get somebody out of there and they're in survival mode, dude, the traps, I don't know how often those traps are going to work because they're not going to be willing to jump into them because, hey, dude, they're really not trying to win at that point, right? They're trying to survive. They're trying to make it to the end, just like Yuriorkis Gambo tried to survive and make it to the end. And he was very, very happy surviving and making it to the end. But if Devin Haney wants to really, emphatically get people out of there, I do think that he, just like Vasily Lomachenko against Teofimo Lopez, I think you're going to have to start earlier. I think that you're going to have to start going at these dudes. You're going to have to start walking them down. You might have to take a couple shots in the midst of doing it. But at the end, I think that you have to continue to force these dudes backwards because just like Gary Russell Jr. said when he was analyzing, I think it was Tevin Farmer or Terrence Crawford. He was like, look, it takes a lot more energy to go backwards, right? And if you're fighting backwards, your energy is draining. Well, that means if you start pushing people backwards, then you're going to drain their energy by pushing them backwards, right? So step on the gas a little bit more, Devin, and beat them up, right? And beat them up. But now he was beating them up, and he's beating them up through just some very crisp pot shots, right? That's what I saw. I wish he would step on the gas a little bit earlier, walk him down a little bit more, and make that, and get to the point where you really are beating them up and somebody has to throw a towel in or something like that. If you want to get rid of the stuff that we're going to talk about next, which is Chris Mannix's opinion. Right now, let me be straight with here. Dude, I believe all this stuff about somebody needs to be more marketable. Especially when you talk about Devin Haney and you compare Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia and say, who's marketable? Well, let me take a step back and tell you why I think that's important. Chris Mannix through this entire fight was talking consistently about how unmarketable Devin Haney is. My thought is, why are you telling this, Chris Mannix? I'm watching a boxing match. Clearly, he's marketable to me because I've paid for the Dazn app and I'm watching it. But consistently through that fight, Chris Mannix pointed out the problem with Ryan Garcia. Devin Haney won't be getting the Ryan Garcia fight. Devin Haney will probably not get the Teofimo Lopez fight. He probably will not get the Devin Haney fight because although he's a very good fighter, he's just not marketable. He's just not marketable. Why is he not marketable? Why? What sense does that make that he is not marketable? What has Ryan Garcia done what does Ryan Garcia do that this man does not do? He's out there marketing himself, number one, and on the grind marketing himself, number one. Trust me, I know. If a channel like mine knows that Devin Haney wants my supporters to know that he is an excellent fighter and he wants their support, that tells you how serious he is about growing his name, and he puts in a tremendous amount of work himself. But why does he have to do that? Because people like Dazn don't do their job. Because it's your job to market him. You're Dazn. What do you mean he's not marketable? Yeah, he's not marketable on Dazn because you don't have anybody watching you. That's why. And that's why Chris Mannix is free willy enough to just sit there talking about how fighters that Dazn is paying is not marketable. Are not marketable. But let's not fool ourselves. We know what the reason is, but why Devin Haney is not marketable. Ryan Garcia has been marketable since before he got to be a professional, right? He's been one of the most marketable guys. Why? Because of how he looks. Because of how he looks. And that's it. He's not more marketable than Devin Haney because he's a better fighter. He's not. He's a more marketable fighter because he looks more European than Devin Haney does. And that's, come on, man. Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. First of all, you're comparing, Skip just comparing Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. How about you just think about the fact that you're bucketing Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez in the same bucket with Gervonta Davis when they don't even belong there because they've done nothing close to what he's done. So Gervonta Davis has to be a pay-per-view star, has to sell out in 5 different areas in order to get somebody like Chris Mannix to admit that he is marketable. Look at the terms that they use for Gervonta Davis. Oh, well, if he just keeps going this way, then he may be. No, he is. He is. Right? So watch this. Teofimo Lopez, who has not been on near pay-per-view, has not sold out near an arena, right? And he beat a guy who's an excellent fighter who ain't sold out no arenas and ain't been on no pay-per-view. Somehow the guy by Teofimo Lopez beating a guy that wasn't marketable somehow makes him so marketable that he's as marketable as Gervonta Davis, who is selling out arenas in Baltimore, in Atlanta, in New York, in LA, and sold out a ton of tickets in the middle of a pandemic in Texas. But yet they're equally marketable. No, dude, that is a code word, man. Marketable is code word. You mean that that's not somebody that you want to sell to your targeted customers. Not that you can't market them to anybody because they're very, very marketable. You just don't want to market to the people that want to buy him. And that's why I say that more than likely he should get Ghost. Because I don't see that changing. And Canelo Alvarez left his zone, so they're about to just rip all the dough up out of that place. Trust me. They're about to rip up the floors, pack up the building, and head out. Because they ain't going to get any big stars to sign with them now the way that Canelo Alvarez went out. So the days are numbered. Man, it's time to go, homie, because they don't even act like they want you. That's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.